Hey, honey. Good to hear from you today. Hey, so this is to answer question number 6 in the survey you sent me. It asked if I had heard about the Newark bicycle plan, which I hadn't, so I Googled it. I'm pretty sure that Robbie S. had talked to me about this, but I wanted to look at it, and it asks you to actually address points in the plan. So I scrolled down until I found him. I recognized a couple of these guys' names. I think Mark Deshawn I used to work with that guy on the trail crew. The other names I'm drawing a blank on. I feel like I should know more of these people, but I haven't been in town in 15 years. So anyway, let's go down to the little suggestions. I'm going to walk through each one of them with you because I think some are good and I think some are pretty a little too vague and or far-reaching. Okay. So here are their kind of recommendations on this page. I think it's page 7. Improve bicycle transportation network. Provide access within a quarter mile of network for all residents. I don't think that's important. You're on a bicycle. You can be farther away than a quarter mile. Obviously, more access is better, but I think the idea of a quarter mile of access is 400 yards. That's really, really close. I just don't think you need to specify that. Identify and address key gaps and areas of safety concern. Yeah, that's huge. That's one of the main reasons people do not bike commute is right there. But the problem is how are you going to measure what is a key gap and what is a safety concern? I mean, is it the road condition? I mean, I Googled that Main Street, whatever it was, that Main Street initiative plan, whatever, where they're ripping up the entire road all the way down, and some of the things they're putting back in don't make any sense. They're putting bump outs on the curbs, which means that instead of just having parallel sidewalks all the way down, you're going to have these weird little bump outs where cars. It's terrible for biking. That's a step backwards for biking. I hated riding my bike on Main Street anyway back in the day. I avoided it like the plague. I took Cleveland instead. But okay, let's go back to here. Consider needs of all user groups. Never do that. That's how you get nothing done. You can't consider the needs of all user groups. They're not all equally weighted. You got to figure out who's your largest user group and make them happiest. Identify links needed to connect low traffic, low stress routes. I don't even know if those exist anymore in Newark. They were terrible back in the 90s. I can't imagine they're any better now. I'm not sure what that means, and I don't know how much can be done. I mean, if the link is something that crosses private property, I mean, can you even deal with that? A lot of the problems in Newark, if I remember correctly, are like the railroad running through town. I mean, you can't do a thing about that. It crosses town. It crosses Cleveland. It crosses that what's that road up by the college where Nick Rotundo used to have his recording studio right there. I mean, there's all kinds of Newark's full of private property. I don't think this is a feasible link. So I think of these 4, this one right here is your biggest. That's your biggest thing you want to hit at, the safety concern. Improve bicycle access to transit. Provide adequate and secure bicycle parking at identified transit locations. I mean, that would be huge. I'd love to be able to park my bike somewhere where I don't have to pull the lights off of it every single time I lock it up somewhere, or somewhere I can keep it out of the rain. So that would be awesome. I don't know what the transit locations are in Newark. I don't remember where they are, what they are. I think they're out on 273, but that's my memory. So yeah, I think that's good. You have to define what adequate means. I'm not sure if bike lockers are necessary or if you just need covered bike racks. But yeah, I like that one. Identify safe and convenient bicycle routes to and from transit stations and stops. Well, yeah. I mean, that's ideal, right? You'd hope that the transit stations are far enough out of the downtown area that you wouldn't be mixing and matching with commercial areas down. But yeah, so I think this is probably more important than this, but they're both equally important, I guess. I'm kind of thinking on my feet here. Encourage adequate and secure bicycle parking. Okay, so I don't know why this is not under here. Review bicycle parking requirement in zoning codes. I don't even know what that means. I didn't realize there was bicycle parking requirements. I thought you just found a bike rack and locked up to it. Maybe those things have codes. I don't know. I've been living in Oregon for so long, I'm not used to laws, I guess. Identify locations where bicycle parking should be provided. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I very often get pissed when I ride to a store and there's no bike rack and I have to lock my bike to a tree or carry it in with me. So, yeah, I guess this is all about transit and this is about parking. I guess there's some overlap there. Yeah, okay. I mean, again, living in Oregon for so long, I guess I'm a little bit jaded because I can pretty much park a bike anywhere I want to. I just find a sign and lock it to it. But Delaware might not be that way. Yeah, okay. I can see why this is important. Improve safety for bicycling through design, maintenance, and enforcement practices. Okay. Recommend safe design and maintenance best practices for all bikeways and shared use facilities, including lighting and signage. Huge, huge. I don't know what best practices are or quote unquote safe design are, but yeah, I definitely think that's massive. One of the recommendations I could make, if you can do it, and I'm not sure that you can with that Main Street redesign project, are protected bike lanes. If you haven't seen those yet, it's where you've got the right side bike lane, and then you've got a series of either concrete border or highly visible orange flexible pipes or flags sticking up that kind of create a visual barrier between the bike and the car lane. So that's something to think about. Recommend measures to support enforcement of the rights and responsibilities of bicyclists, targeting violations that cause the most injuries and fatalities for selective enforcement. Okay, let me read that again. Recommend measures to support enforcement of the rights and responsibilities of bicyclists. Yeah, targeting violations that cause... Well, okay, I can give you what probably would most likely cause the most injuries and fatalities on the driver's side. And this is something that goes way bigger than biking. It's distracted driving. I'm not sure if it's as bad there as it is here, but that's one of the most terrible damage-causing instances. A kid got killed in Bend not too long ago because some moron was driving down one of the busier roads in town, texting to the girl sitting next to him in the car with him, and he drifted over into the opposite lane and hit a kid riding in the bike lane, killed him. So, I mean, until you deal with that kind of stuff, everything else is small potatoes compared to that. Cars need to be responsible more. Bikes aren't going to kill drivers. Drivers are going to kill bikes. That doesn't mean that bicyclists can be idiots. I imagine one of the big problems in Newark is bikes riding down sidewalks. You want to make sure the laws are very clear about that. In Oregon, you're actually allowed to ride your bike on the sidewalk in quite a few situations, and that's the kind of stupid crap that needs to be out of the laws. The bikes shouldn't be on sidewalks. They're called sidewalks, not side bikes. So check the law there, I would say. So I'd say, yeah, definitely this is very important. Very, very important. And just not only recommend measures to support enforcement. No, support enforcement. Yeah, I was going to say not even to have them on the books, but make sure they're enforced. That's good. Identify possible resources for training. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good because I think it ties to this one. Develop signage and promotional programs aimed at motor vehicle drivers to improve awareness of the needs and rights of bicyclists. Now, I'm going to vote no on that one because we already have enough signs on the road. Adding more signs are not going to help. Here's an idea. Make questions on the Delaware State driver's exam have bicycle-centric, be bicycle-centric, and make sure that there is at least one or two mandatory ones on there. Make them not pass if they can't get the bike questions right. That kind of a thing. Hit them in the pocketbook where it hurts them. That's the idea. Incorporate bicycle elements into land use and development. Consider bicycle accommodations in local development review procedures and encourage incentives for bicycle accommodations. This is a great point. Unfortunately, as I read the... I'm going to find it right here. Hang on. I Googled it as I was answering the first few questions here. The Newark Main Street Rehab. I'm going to pull it over here. I was reading this thing about the Main Street Rehab. And the first thing I saw was down here where it says, DelDOT said it scrapped plans to place benches along the bump outs. Crews will also reconstruct the road's drainage system and widen sidewalks at specific points, creating a string of bump outs that will feature trees, bike racks, or metal fencing with brick columns. That's a terrible idea. That is exactly the opposite of considering bicycle accommodations. Bump outs force bikes to not travel in a straight line. It forces us to get bumped out when the curb changes. Now, I know a lot of times there are going to be cars parked in the places where the bump outs, before you get to the bump outs. But those things are... Here, let me see if I can find a picture real quick. Hang on a second. Sidewalk bump outs. There's a few of these... yeah, like this is a pretty... Yeah, like this right here. Okay, this is terrible, okay? Now, you're going to have cars here, that's right. But the problem with these things being the way they are, people are they're going to park on this side. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the parking here and the bump out here. They're going to put trees and bike racks and things here. That doesn't fix traffic over here. The road is still as narrow or narrower than it was before, which means you're having bikes compete with cars for traffic at least as much as they were, if not more. Here's, I guess, maybe a better example of what Newark is planning. And I see it's actually a good thing for walkers. It creates a more visible way to get across the street for a walker, but we're screwed for bikers. Here's a little graphic here. Exploring ways to make streets safer. I mean, these do not help. I mean, they just don't help. Maybe the parking is enough in Newark that you wouldn't have to worry. Those would be filled with cars, but I just don't think that's a good idea. I think the idea of a bump out goes exactly against this. Integrate the consideration of non-motorized facilities into all planning design. Yeah, yes. Good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. That's a beautiful idea. It sounds great on paper. I can't imagine the public going for it. I hate to be so pessimistic, but I've been riding a bike for decades, and as soon as you start trying to push for non-motorized facilities, it just doesn't work when you've got the amount of inertia behind a town like Newark that's been there for hundreds of years. And this little bit here, I don't know what the hell any of this means. This sounds like administrative stuff, and my brain just turns off when I start reading about prioritization and things like that, infrastructure projects. I mean, I just keep thinking of Trump and his moronic infrastructure weeks at that point. Identify funding programs for implementation. That's a very, very vague statement. So hopefully I gave you enough here to kind of to play with and think about. I'm sorry to be getting this to you so late. It's 5 o'clock here, which means it's 8 o'clock your time, and I apologize. It did take me a little bit of a while to get to this and then do some Googling and learning about some of this stuff. But good luck, man. Good luck, and let me know how this turns out. I'll send you a note on Facebook and let you know I'm sending this to you. And yeah, we'll talk soon, all right, baby? Love you, miss you. Talk to you soon, I hope. Peace.